will just start by welcoming everybody here. It's Collectible, which is hosting us and hosting this wonderful talk today with Edoardo Monti and Berry Dijkstra. Sorry, we practiced this, but I'm really, I'm not good with names. Mais bon, I'm here with these two lovely gentlemen who are collectors. And as well, I mean, Edoardo has Palazzo Monti, which is a design residency in Italy. And Berry is also a curator and making exhibitions on top of being collectors. And I'm Kristen de La Vallière. I have Say Hi To, an online platform for design, and I'm also a curator and consultant. So we wanted to bring we wanted to have this chat today to talk about collecting in design, because obviously art collecting, this is a very old and kind of staple market that we all know about. And I think design, or collectible design, is a little bit of a new domain or frontier and slightly different to the art market, and but very exciting. And we wanted to host this talk today to kind of get into the nitty-gritty of the difference between the art collecting market, collecting in contemporary art and collecting in design, as well as tips for young designers, young collectors. So I wanted to just start first by asking both of you to briefly introduce yourselves, and then we'll start with that. Let's do that. So Berry, can you please introduce yourself?
Of course, yes. I'm Berry, based in Rotterdam. I've been working in the design field for years. I started collecting, I think, years ago, a lot of vintage design. And then it evolved to contemporary design. And I use my design every day in making compositions in my home, which involved in more like the curating part, doing shows. I'm now working on a new show, an online show, which I filmed on 60mm. So that's what I do.
Very nice.
Hi, everyone. My name is Edoardo. Thanks so much for the introduction. By the way, Kristen, was perfect. I'm based in Brescia, North Italy. I'm from Italy. I lived for many years in New York. And collecting actually was the very beginning of my passion within the art world that drove me to come back to Italy and launch this residency 4 years ago in this family palazzo. Everyone's welcome to come visit and say hi. We are a small cultural center with art residency, exhibition center, and a private collection of over 300 works of art and design that are always on view within the premises of the Palazzo. I myself then became a curator to support the community of artists and designers that we have been welcoming over the years. It's over 150 in 5 years from 50 different countries. So, a very international community. We're quite peculiar because, in fact, we do welcome designers as well, which is something that residencies usually don't do because of the different lead times for production and behind the scenes, rather different from visual arts. But yeah, being a curator is important to nourish and support the community that we're building. And I'm working on different shows within Italy and international to support this project. So keep an eye on our social media accounts. We're launching lots of projects this coming months.
Ooh, very exciting. Beautiful. Thank you both. And Edoardo, I wanted to start with you actually and ask, because you curate and host designers and artists. So you really, we've met each other before, know each other from before. So I'm very familiar with what you do. And what do you see is one of the big differences between the contemporary art market and the design market in terms of collecting?
Well, there's a very fine line, I would say, now between, let's say, traditional arts, what we see in fairs or auctions, and collectible design in terms of, first of all, pricing. That's something that we have to address in a way. There's perhaps even secondary market that sort of supports a certain demand and request for pieces.
In contemporary art or in both?
In design, I would say, like
In
how
design, yeah.
I think that, I mean, again, my experience is fairly recent. You know, I've been looking into this for the past 10 years, but I think that what's happening in design now, it's something that really wasn't there before, in terms of uniqueness of the pieces as well, that again are getting closer to what we used to define before as art, which by definition is most of the times unique and handmade by the artist. I guess before, design was something that was made by big designers that was sort of like orchestrating a variety of artisans in order to produce an item that very much was functional and could be reproduced in series. I think what we're looking now is a direction towards a more practical involvement of the designer themselves in the production process, uniqueness, which then obviously comes with different prices than what we were used to before. But definitely there's a, you know, I think that whoever likes to invest or believe and support the arts community, then will definitely appreciate this growing trend of more collectible design for sure. So there's great possibilities, and it's great to see that fairs like Collectible, but many others in the world are supporting this new current. And I would like to finish by noticing that there's more and more galleries that are now sort of a hybrid between design and traditional galleries, which is a very important sign. So if you go to any art fair, you may as well find yourself in between a design and art fair, because there's nothing really just focusing on one or the other, from TIFAF all the way to Frieze and others. And then of course, all the design, and I'm sure we'll see more art than just design.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Berry, so do you have, I'm curious, what is one of the lessons that you've learned so far in your path to collecting in design?
I
That you
think,
could maybe share.
There's a lot of things I can share, and a lot of things I've learned. When I'm looking more like in the vintage part, it's that you have to deal with the fact that you're too late, or that something you just miss, or you know that you're just behind and you can't purchase it because it's already gone in like this vintage part. And in the more contemporary part, what I think is really important, that you have to develop a taste in a way, and then you have to really do your research, and instead of start buying immediately, first more like get into it and go to fairs and see as much as you can see, and then you can develop a taste. And when you have developed this taste, you can use that and buying with your heart in a way.
And do you think for you, is it more of like an intuitive approach, or is there, this is something also I'm really curious about between the contemporary art world and the design world, because I don't have as much experience, and this is goes to both of you, this next question. I don't have as much experience on the contemporary art side of things, but it is known that there are people in contemporary art, there are collectors that are just in it for an investment and not really driven by passion. Whereas I feel like maybe, and of course there are collectors that are driven by passion in contemporary art as well, but I find that in design it's slightly more based on intuition and passion. But is that other side developing more, or what's your view on that, both of you, in terms of, can it be a good investment? Or, I mean, I think that's also maybe some hesitation or stigma with collecting something that's functional, you know, that it can be used and maybe might lose value. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about that.
I think there will always be people who are there to invest and earn money with it, I think. I'm not sure. I don't know the difference. If there are like big difference in the art scene and design scene, I'm not sure about. I think because art is longer there in like this art form and the collecting part, so there are, I assume, more people who are there for the money. But I think it's also in the design part, and maybe it will evolve more. It will become bigger. I never look at it that way. So Yeah.
Neither do I. That's why I'm also interested to hear what, maybe you guys think, or also some of the other collectors the two of you may have met. And I think in my circle, I don't have friends or colleagues that are so much in it for investment as for passion, but I think it's an interesting way, something to touch on. And what do you think, Eduardo?
Well, I'm gonna say something. I think standard. Everything at the end of the day goes down to how much money you can invest in whatever you do. It's the same question for traditional investing in the stock market. If you have 1,000, you will expect less growth than if you have 1 million, but also less danger. So it's like, and then with 1,000, you can make more sort of gut feeling investment just because you want to, you can, but also 1,000 will always be in relation to how much you are worth as a person. I mean, maybe 1,000 is all you have, or 1,000 is what you make in a minute. And that obviously goes down to art or design, because it does involve money. You need to think of this as a purchase, as an investment. So I think that for beginners, which also doesn't mean that they need to have a lower budget than more traditional collectors, just go with something that you like. I think at the end of the day, both design and art need to have some sort of basic rules. I mean, design need to be somehow functional in terms of usable, cleaningness, easy to transport, basic things, just like, which doesn't mean that we don't have to be creative and just think of Joe Ponti, but we have to think when creating and when purchasing, both the designer and the collector. Let's think of how long will this last? Like, the question of the quality of the product is key. And unfortunately, I think that not every artist nor designer has this as a priority. Perhaps it's the Academy's fault, who are not, really passing this message along. I mean, it's important to make works that last over time. I think this is key for assuring yourself a future in this business, because if you make a desk that falls apart within a few years, then I don't see a future for your practice, unless it's part of the practice, but that's always a bit of a joke. But on the other side, I think that as Barry said, design is much more new. Of course, the concept of what's design, is it back to the metal arrows in the historical times, or it's something that was born when we had the need on top of the desire to make chairs and cutlery in series. But obviously that design can be, in a way, as a concept, be more recent than art in a sense. I think just go with what you like. To go back to my first point, at the end of the day, you're going to live with this thing, whether you're sitting on it or looking at it from your bed because it's a piece on the wall. Just nobody, first of all, has the ball to see into the future, so nobody can guarantee that any piece will grow in value. There's a very specific point. There's cost to produce, price to sell and buy, and value. The value can be anything up and down, but you, at the same time, when you believe in something new, you make the value for yourself. You may pay for a piece a little amount, but be worthless for you in a good way. So always go with something that you like, because again, unless you have money to throw at things, just always keeping in mind that no investment can be guaranteed by anyone. Always just start with something that you like, that you sit comfortably on, or that you want to see your computer or TV on, or that you want to look at when you're brushing your teeth. I think that's a very basic way of approaching any sort of investment that has any visual impact.
Definitely. I mean, that's definitely, I think, how I built or started building my collection. In the same way, what do I want to live with? What am I going to want in 5 or 10 years? What's a designer that I believe in and I want to invest in their practice as well? Because that's one of the beautiful things is, you can buy something from IKEA, and I mean, this is very different. There's a huge scale between, IKEA and a functional art piece, but that falls apart in a year or two. Or you can buy something that, you spend 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, whatever the amount of money, but you have it for the rest of your life, or 20 years, or you just love it to death, and you actually see the person that you're supporting and investing in, and
But I just want to make a quick point, and that links us back to Collectible, the uniqueness and the importance of this fair, because I was part of the selection process of everyone basically over the past months. You made a good point. who to invest in, not
Yes.
what, because you're
Yeah.
investing in people. So, I'm working with emerging established artists, but whoever we invite or select to this residency is alive. So we think of artists as people first, rather than artworks, or designers as humans rather than desks. So the advantage of visiting a fair like Collectible, or getting to know the galleries that are representing their designers here, is that these people are very much alive, and they have a future that you can help support or create or influence in a very good way. So try to meet this person. I'm sure most of them, or many of them, will be at the fair. So see who you like, engage with them, because a personal relationship will create a much bigger value than anything else, than any other business or remote relationship. So getting to know who you're working with, whether it's a gallerist or the designer, will really infuse a super important value to whatever you're investing in. So let's try to do this. We have the gift of social media. We can reach anyone at any point for free, really, at any level. Before it was like, do you have the number of the secretary? Now it's just like, let me DM this person. By personal experience, we can reach anyone that we want. And I encourage people to build relationship with these humans, because it's so much added value.
Absolutely. And I think also then, the more, I think you make a really great point. And maybe Berry, you have something to add about this, about how you interact with different designers that you support. But I know definitely from becoming friends with people or learning about their process on Instagram. It could start before you even meet them in real life on Instagram. You see their process, you maybe see their politics, or you see that they're donating their time at a charity, whatever, and it could really align with your values, and just give much more depth to also who you're supporting, what you're supporting, if they're doing things sustainably. And so I think that this is a beautiful thing. And then you can reach out and end up becoming friends with everyone as well, and watch their career grow alongside that. And how do you feel, Berry, about that, in terms of how you find designers, or the relationships you have with the designers that you invest in?
Well, exactly what you say. And also when I'm doing the shows, it's like I also find it really interesting to see how their career is growing, and where they're going to, and how I'm involved in their lives in a way, in their working lives. And I also find like the design scene and designers, it's a really friendly scene, and it's a really supportive scene, and that's among the collectors and the designers. And I really like that. Comparing that to different other scenes, I think it's different. I find it a very supportive community, and that's what I really like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And to be a part of it too, I feel like with maybe something started with some type of, in terms of me collecting or putting together a designer and a collector, and then next thing you know, like every time you go to LA or London, you're having dinner with these people, and you're meeting their kids, and you're going and having great times. And I think this is something really special about, I don't want to stay too long, but something really special about this domain and our kind of little design world and scene. So also something that you said before, Edoardo, is buy what you like. And I'm going to throw in a controversial curveball in here. And I was reading the book recently of, what is the name of it? Buying Great Art on a Budget, or something like this, by Erling Kage. I don't know if you know him. He's Norwegian collector. And he says, buying only what you like makes a boring collection. In terms of his point of view, was that he liked to buy things that he didn't necessarily understand, or he kind of hated, but he had it in his house. And the more time he spent with it, it really got him thinking, or changed his mind about either the piece or a point of view on a topic. What do you guys think about that when building a collection?
Well, I mean, I think that it's a good idea, but I don't think not many people can afford this in terms of space and investment.
Yeah.
I mean, you can research. If you don't understand Rothko, you don't have necessarily to buy something that you can't understand to appreciate it. I mean, otherwise, the point is, if you start looking into what you don't like and you don't know, then you're never going to end researching. And I mean, not everyone has a museum or unlimited budget to buy and then learn in the process. I think that again, I really stand by my point of like investing in people, you know, rather than items. Knowing myself how hungry of information and knowledge I am, but also I know what I like and I want to keep this aesthetic. I don't think I would like to invest too much in something that I don't understand, which doesn't mean sticking with what I do. I'll give you an example. For the residency where I also live, there's a board of directors, and I only count as 1 vote out of 5, which means that many times there's artists that are selected that I would personally not be drawn to. That's different. I mean, I'm inviting somebody for a month, trying to understand a new medium or a person that I maybe don't understand, but there's somebody else sort of like, you know, doing the job for me in a way that they also look for something special. But that doesn't mean that, I mean, again, as I said before, it all goes back to money. If you have unlimited funds, then yeah, just buy whatever you don't understand. I mean, maybe there's different ways. You can travel and go to museums and research, but when you go to investing, then it's different.
Absolutely. And actually, how do you guys feel? What?
It's a good trigger for many things, but it's like the same. I mean, if we say this about food or travel, like if you hate a country, why would you, or a city, why would you go there forcing yourself? Or if you don't like tofu, which I don't, for instance, I know I won't like it.
So the question is also, why do you hate it, or why don't?
Yeah, but why would I force myself to like it if I know I don't like it or I don't understand it?
Yeah,
I hate tofu, by the way.
Well,
okay, next time we meet, not making you tofu.
I'll read the book. Maybe I won't buy it. I'll just borrow it from you. So
yeah, sure, you can borrow it. So Barry, what were you going to say?
Well, I find it a very interesting view, like that you buy something you don't like, because then you can like broaden your view but I find it also, I do agree with Edoardo that when you have like limited money, you want everything you don't like. On the other hand, it's good to open up in a way, and maybe you don't have to buy it. Maybe you have to watch it, and you have to rewatch it and check it and open up for it. That's I think that's a very good. That's a very interesting view, and it's more easy to always stay within the aesthetic you have, you know, and like what you already like. So I try to do that. Also in art, that I'm really fast, like, oh no, that's not what I like, and then hey, wait, let me go back to that work and just watch, but not necessarily buy.
There's also reasons why sometimes as professionals we don't like something. Has it been seen before? Is it a copy of something else? Is it badly executed? You know, I think that if out of 100 pieces of art or design or food, you like 10, well, you can't force yourself to own or try or research the other 90. So I mean, obviously there was like a very sort of quick input that you gave us. I'm sure there's a structured point that he makes. By the way, Mihail is asking what's the book title in the Q&A.
Let me grab it here so I don't butcher it. Hold
on. But yeah, I mean, that's my point. But yeah, I think maybe in between.
Poor collector's guide to buying great art.
So he's asking a poor collector to buy whatever he doesn't like. That's a statement.
Read the book. Read the book.
I'll borrow it. I'll come to France.
You can borrow it. Yeah. I mean, that we could go on forever on that. I'm not gonna go too deep into that wormhole. Otherwise, we're gonna miss like the more interesting points. But I suggest that everybody, if you can get your hands on a copy, and then we'll get a couple of bottles of wine and we'll all sit together over an evening with a few packs of cigarettes and discuss. But that's not right now. So anyway, I wanted to. So if you met somebody that had a 5,000 euro budget to start their collection, what advice would you give them?
I know, but I'll let Barry do first.
I know, Barry, your turn.
So they have 5,000 euros and they have no idea.
They have 5,000 euros.
And
but I think,
market and
I think though, as we're talking about functional works though, it's also like, what do you need in your house?
Yeah.
From my point of view, but I'm just moderating, but.
Well, yeah, I never buy anything what I need. You know, I always buy like. With 5,000 euros, yeah, I think first you have to know, you have to find your aesthetic. I think that's like really important. So instead of buying something which is a trend or you saw it on Instagram or whatever, I think it's really important to have some knowledge and to find your own aesthetic, to find your own voice in a way. And I would definitely prefer that you buy something from a starting designer, a local designer, you know, something like that. I think, yeah, I find that important. So that is what I would advise. Read some books.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Go to Collectible, walk around
Don't
the
buy the
fair.
one that Kristen is reading.
And
I mean, what I would do is maybe I would split the budget. So 2,500 each. I would definitely support the system. And by system, I mean galleries and fairs and designers and dealers. So invest this in a gallery that you see at Collectible or any other gallery that you see at Collectible. Maybe you just go visit them, in their actual physical space. And then the other, I would say, through this research, through this engagement, through these relationships, find an artist that you believe in and provide this as a production budget. Because let's not forget that 2,500 means something when we have a finished product, but 2,500 means something else when you have raw materials and time to spend to make something. So in a way, you can turn this into something, maybe it's failure, but you provide this as, you provide these funds, obviously maybe in return of something, but that can maybe provide more support to an artist. So split this into go at the top for one and go at the bottom for the other, and then you'll find something in between. So support the system, support the galleries, support the fair, but then with maybe I don't know, like a less budget, like 1,000, then find an artist and propose to invest in their production. They'll be much more well, they'll be equally happy. So let's do this.
So do you mean like go to an artist, say you love a certain designer, and you say, you know, I'll give you
let's work on a
1,000
project.
euros.
Yeah, or like use this, or like, I don't know, I need a chair, make one and then keep the rest if you need it. Or if you make 100 out of this budget, keep all of them and I just keep one.
Okay, actually that's such an interesting point, Edoardo. I never thought about that before, and that is I think that's a really good point to make.
So yeah, don't sort of like, let's not pretend that we can, by knowing an artist, first of all, let's not avoid galleries if they're working with galleries. You don't do that. Even if the galleries are international, always support the galleries. But also, if you know that something costs 1, but it's on sale for 10, there's a reason. There's costs behind each product. It's not just like profit out of the production. But what I'm saying is, you know, if you do provide these funds, first of all, build a sort of like achievement that you want to achieve, that you want to get. So I need a mouse. Okay, let me pay 100. But if the artist manages to produce more or save that extra budget, then it's for them. So, you know, again, what I'm saying is we're not trying to acquire for production costs. We are just providing production value in exchange of something. That can be super interesting down the line, because maybe the other parts are sold at a fair or at a gallery where they make more profit and it helps them growing.
Absolutely. Or also maybe then that gives them a certain amount of time to work on a new material that they haven't experimented with yet. Or, you know, I think this is also a big thing for designers. Is I know some designers, they get caught up with commissions for something specific, and then they don't have time to develop new ideas, or they don't have that time because they're chasing always these like commissions of what everyone knows. That time to invest in new ideas, new materials, new research. So yeah, I think that's an important point of also, if you go with that, then that also kind of gives this freedom to the designers to keep being creative and pushing boundaries in different ways. Oh, hi,
yeah.
Wolfie.
Just eating a napkin.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to designers and galleries, all of the costs that go behind. So sometimes we talk about the cost of chair, you know, somebody might look at a chair and say, oh my God, it's 3,000 euros. But the thing that you don't realize is the material that the designer is using, the workspace in central New York or wherever, maybe there are not even any workspace in it, but the workspace, the tools, the years of acquiring
insurance,
everything. It's so expensive. In the end, the designers get not much. You know, they don't
failure, because nobody wakes up and makes a chair out of thin air. I mean, it takes 5 years and thousands of euros of tests, you know. So by providing support for production, you provide also room for error. I mean, they have to buy food and pay for travel and pay for books and bills and stuff. So yeah, that's an alternative.
Definitely. I think that's a really good point. And what is the best advice you could give someone starting out in collecting? There's one little tidbit of advice, and then let's see if anybody has any questions. Wait, why don't I see did somebody ask? You saw a question before. I don't know where it popped up. I didn't see it.
It's Q&A at the bottom to the right, but we
there we go. Yeah. There's no questions.
Barry, would you like to answer and then I can go?
Yes.
A little advice. Yes, you can start small. You know, you don't have to, when you don't have the budget, you can start small, and it's also okay to make budget with the stuff you collect. So you buy something, and then you can buy something better, and then you can you can enrich your collection. I think that is interesting. What I also is doing is making choices. Like I collect furniture from Pastu instead of like every furniture. I'm from the Netherlands, so I'm very near to Eindhoven, the Design Academy. So that's like, I also, sort of focus on the Netherlands, ceramic. So I make choices. I think that's for me, that's important. And otherwise it's like, it's huge if you, are going to collect everything, you know? So yeah. So
that's good advice, I think.
Yeah, it's really simple, but
it's simple, but it's true, you know. Otherwise, you know, you could be all over the place, and it makes things better to be more specific.
Yeah, I would say to also do your research. We are given opportunities to research unlimited amount of information online, but also ultimately, I'm a big supporter of the offline experience. Design maybe even more so than art. So just go to museums, galleries, and fairs where you basically you can do market research within minutes or hours. I mean, you don't need to you can just ask questions, figure out the price, touch it, sit on it, ask for the materials, see the weight, the size, just do your research. So if you go to Collectible, for instance, you'll be able to see dozens of different pieces, and you can make a selection within really a day, which to do the research yourself, to find those information would take months. Most of them, they don't even exist yet in the web, because when galleries support young designers, they're the first to really do everything. So just go and do research, and you'll be able to invest in something that, you know, you can believe in and you can see firsthand for sure.
Absolutely. And I think you're so right. This tactile experience of like being able to see it, touch it, meet the people. I mean, this is one thing that I think we really miss with the fairs, is because, you know, in one fair like Collectible, you can go around and meet the gallerists, meet a lot of the designers, touch everything, see if the, you know, how it's built, what the quality is, what the color actually is. And that's something you really can't tell. There's so many things I've seen just in pictures, and when you see it in real life, it's completely different, for good, for better, for worse. But I think that's really important. And then I think that also what can be nice is once you go to these fairs and see it, then maybe you find a designer you really like, and you can also schedule a studio visit. And then sometimes when you're in the studio, you know, you see new things that they're working on, or you get to see their process, or I think that this is also a really nice way to see who you're investing in and how they work, and you know, on top of everything. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, hold on, we have
Pedro.
Okay, so we have a question from Carolina. A couple of questions. How is the post-pandemic new normal affecting the design market, in your opinion? Could the amount of time spent at home have increased the interest towards it? And if so, is it going to last?
Let me read. How is the post-pandemic new normal? And then Pedro asks a question about collecting. Maybe Barry can answer Carolina, and I can answer Pedro in the chat.
Sure.
A couple of questions. How is the post-pandemic new normal affecting the design?
I can. Everyone's reading. Also, Pedro. He wrote in the chat. He says, "Great pictures on Instagram are great, but how is collecting been affected by the pandemic? As we are talking about physical objects." Well, it has tremendously. I mean, I don't think that any online fair or any online viewing or any PDF or any project online has really been successful sales-wise. I always say and think that we're sort of stuck to the 60s in terms of like anthropological concepts of hardware and software. I mean, our grandma's TV is no different from what we're using now to communicate in terms of experience that it gives you. Like, I don't care if it's color and before it was black and white, if it fits on my hand, or before it was like as big as a house. So we still get visual flat information over a screen with audio sometimes, but we don't get much of this. So you can't do anything else. And let's not even get into AR or VR in a way that I think it's really not, at least today, making a big impact on experiences. So yes, in terms of not really collecting, because nobody needs to collect, but designers and galleries need to sell to keep on surviving. So definitely the market has been hit. I don't know the numbers, it's impossible to calculate, but I'm guessing more than 50% for many galleries. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them will close down. I mean, let's be honest, you know, let's not talk about negative stuff, but just to be realistic, collecting has been affected in a way that, you know, yeah, definitely there's less, there has been less volume in the past months, but an event like Collectible that really gives a sign that we can go back to normal business is really, really, really important.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think maybe it's a bit different in terms of, I mean, there's so many people that have been hit so hard, but at the same time, I also do think that people have been collecting, but maybe more, as we haven't had physical events like Collectible or Salone or anything else, maybe more based on the designers they already knew. Because I know I bought a lot of stuff during, I collected, I mean, I made a lot of investments in pieces during the pandemic, but it was from designers I already knew and had touched their pieces, and, you know,
you can make risk decisions for sure.
Yeah. What do you think, Barry?
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. And it has been difficult, of course, because everything has been online. And when I look for myself, I only have like these digital tools to find designers or interesting stuff, and it is limited in a way. So I am thrilled that, well, it won't take that long anymore before we go offline again, and hopefully it will boost like a lot of things, because that's what I hope. I'm not sure, of course, and I also think that people are still buying, but it's time to get offline again, and we can go to fairs and go to galleries and like for the big shows. So yes.
Definitely. And everybody, you can check out tomorrow, Collectible is opening their online salon where you'll be able to purchase a lot of the pieces from different galleries. So you can go on there and kind of browse everything and see what's available, what's new. I got a preview. There's some really incredible pieces. So, okay, so we have Tim Mastique says, what to buy, top 3.
I gave my answer.
Oh, you did?
But actually, if you guys want to, in line to what you mentioned about tomorrow, the Collectible website going live, we made a selection of pieces. I think it was top 5. So you can check out through the next days on social media what I personally would have bought. I mean, maybe I will, but yeah, I think it's hard to say names or items. I just wrote what you need in a way, because also, you know, if Tim is speaking about design, then I think that, you know, you can have 10,000 chairs and no table, definitely. What you, again, going back to the visual, what you like, and at least something a bit functional. You can buy a fur coated plate or table, you know.
We've seen some companies working on AR applications for furniture, but we can't touch or feel the materials, textures. Are those, all those things are missing? How do you think we should evolve how we show our work to become more effective in a digital world?
This is interesting. I mean, I'm working on a VR, not AR, which are quite different, but same sort of realm, design show that we're gonna have in September with designers you know, but you don't know what it is yet. You'll find out. We'll announce it soon, but basically that's a bit more gamey. It's more fun. I don't think it was the concept of doing that project is to sell or provide an alternative. I mean, Peter's question is legit.
Yeah.
But I don't think you should ever influence yourself by creating something that doesn't belong to your practice just because it needs to be seen online, which is something that definitely I can guarantee in the art world has been happening for years. So making Instagrammable installations, Instagrammable art, don't, you know, great. I mean, it depends again, what's your goal and what do you make? Do you make prints then you sell by the thousands? Then yes. If you make unique pieces, then maybe not. But there's also a difference between how you make it and how you present it. Presentation is okay to maybe have a bit of a sort of giving away a bit of yourself if you want to present it in a way that is maybe not 1000% yours, but designing and making the piece, I would say just stick to your practice.
And actually, I think that's a great point. Very good advice. And if I could just throw 2 cents, I know I'm the moderator, but if I could just throw 2 cents in there to help a designer in this kind of situation, I think for me, at least as a collector, I wouldn't care as much. Like if you gave me some AR application, I wouldn't use it. I would just think it's annoying and weird. Like, not, I mean, unless it was some type of experience, I probably wouldn't engage with it. But if, for instance, like I'm just going to throw an example out there, one of my favorite designers, Fernando Lapaz in Mexico, it's the story of the final product, the social project. He reinvigorated the local economy of an entire village, and 70% of the town is now employed because of this design project that they collaboratively did together. And knowing how many people were helped and how many people participated and this kind of co-op type of situation, for me it's like really the story. So rather than have some kind of really high-tech gimmicky thing, I would rather hear a story where I feel like this design process is solving a problem or helping people or innovating something with sustainable materials, or, you know, so I think the storytelling, which then can still just be done through photos, text, video, whatever you have available, even just Instagram stories, if that's all you have. But for me, I would much quicker invest in something based on a great story and knowing what I'm investing in rather than any of this kind of thing, you know, personally.
Yeah, I think a great example is communication in regards to travel or food. I mean, restaurants will not change their menu based on Instagram, but maybe they will present an island, a city or hotel or a dish in a way that is more interesting. But then when it's actually made, it's more true to their cuisine or you know, country. But yeah, communication should never influence what you make. How you present it, it's totally different.
Oh, that's a really
Maria
good
has
point,
another.
actually.
Maria has another question. How does design coexist with art in your home? Do they have a different voice, you think? And if so, how? Maybe Berry, want to say?
Well, I have them both, of course. Coexist with art in your home. Well, I make like these compositions, and I'm not sure if you've seen it, but I make like compositions with all the furniture and all the items I have, from stones from Spain till design, and I put them all together. So I have found like a new way for myself in presenting it. So it does coexist and it's going together, and it's what I find interesting is that I collect a lot of functional design, but I'm not using it in a functional way. And I make something new out of it. And I combine art with design and bring it all together in like this this new composition. So for me, it is coexisting. Yeah.
Actually, you make art out of it. For all of you who don't already know Berry and his work, go check out his Instagram, because he makes installations out of his collection, and it's really, really interesting.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's so much fun to do, because that's also really important, and also as a collector, is that you're having fun, and that you're also like playing with the objects you have. And I really like to make something that is functional, non-functional. Everybody, when you see a chair at a table, you immediately see yourself sitting there, drinking wine, having dinners with friends. But when you put it on a cabinet, it becomes something different. Then the shape becomes like very important, and the material and stuff like that. So that's what I really like about design.
I think that's such a good point. And I think that also, like, you bring up such an interesting way to think about collecting design, because I think everybody thinks, oh, it's a 20,000 euro chair, like I can't buy it because if I sit in it and damage it, and no. But to be perfectly honest, I think when I'm looking at pieces, I don't really always think of them as functional objects. I think of them as sculptures, or I may have a chair that nobody ever sits in, but it's, yeah, exactly, just used in a certain way in the house that I love to be around it and I love to see it, or I put like all of my favorite books on it, or I don't know, I don't think that you always have to look at it. Sometimes it's nice to look at design in the way that a child does. If you give a child a chair, he might flip it upside down and make it into a sailboat or whatever, and I think that's kind of nice also to look at functional art in that way as an adult, and when you're collecting, that it can have a different function. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't seem so precious for me. I mean, it doesn't seem like too scary to invest in it, because it's just something that you end up loving, that you can have in your home, and can be art.
Yeah. But also, I'll say that for me, also art has a function, which is not to sit on or touch it or be, covering my bed, but it does have the function of providing visual positive input and making the house more pleasing and my life better by rules. So I think that, yeah, we should, maybe not everyone, like Berry has a great, I wish I had it, the sort of the vision to see something and play with it, or the amount of tools that he has, but I would love to visit his space. For me, in a way, design, in a way, because I'm so occupied with much more sort of engagement with the arts, it does need to have a very practical functionality. But that's also given by the rules that this house needs to follow, which is a house where we have guests all the time, we have residents, visitors all the time. So, you need to have something that does have some sort of function. But yeah, I guess like every house is different.
Definitely. Yeah, you wouldn't want to, my home's too tiny, nobody comes here, so I can do, everything can be a crazy installation. It's fine, it's just me and the cat. But I think definitely when you're hosting so many guests, if they can just walk around and they can't sit anywhere, you have a problem there. Okay, guys, well, we've gone 20 minutes over. I think we could probably talk forever, but I don't want to keep everyone. But it's been so interesting. Thank you so much, Berry. Thank you so much, Edoardo, for your time and your insight.
Thank you, guys.
It's really been fun and interesting. I hope that everyone learned a lot. If you're in Brussels, there is Collectible, does have a number of offline exhibitions, and it's Collectible Week. So you can go on the website and see what's happening there. Also, some of the galleries, such as Etage Projects, is hosting little exhibitions right now, which are coinciding with Collectible. And then you can also tomorrow, salon.collectible.design is opening, where you can go shopping and check out all of the wonderful exhibitions or different galleries and their selections. So I hope that
our selections.
Yeah, voila. And yeah, all of those who wanted to know what Berry and Edoardo would buy, you can check that out tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone. Get in touch if you have any questions and if you want to visit. And of course, Berry and Kristen, you're more than welcome to come to Italy and stay here anytime. And everyone at Collectible.
With pleasure. I'll be there at some point. All right, bye,
ciao,
guys.
Thank
Have
you.
a great evening.
Ciao.